good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those of you who have been with us since the beginning, and those of you who have been with us here and there's about, and those of you who have just subscribed, all praises to the Most High. Yes, and those of you who are contemplating subscription, yes, you're walking with Mr. Clay. Yes, Mr. Clay. I'm Mr. Clay. Like, share, and subscribe. And we just thank God for all of you that have viewed this channel on this day. And the Most High is just awesome. Yes. And that the Most High has shown in the past how that deliverance for Israel is available if Israel wants it. If Israel do according to the covenant that their elders or their ancients have agreed to. See, the covenant is a two-way street. It's not just a one-way street. You cannot have a one-way covenant. Just like we want a one-way covenant, God makes a covenant with mankind according to your New Testament and some of the testimonies of people. It's a one-way covenant when you deal with Christianity. It's not a two-way covenant. Most and other, should I say, belief systems, according to the Abrahamic faith, as they may put it. But we have to understand the covenant is two ways, if you be willing and obedient. Now, the Most High laid out the covenant, which can be found in the book of Leviticus, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. Yes, it can be found in those books, in the historical account of Israel's history. Now, we have to be careful that we see God as one who reacts, because Deuteronomy chapter 28 tells us, he says, if you're going to be obedient, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give you a perpetual covenant of peace. You know, but then he turns around and says, but if you do not, and this stands for all our generations, all your generations, even those that would cleave and make a covenant with God to obey the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. As far as your east is concerned, that's your business. But as far as the true Israelite, yes, you make a covenant with God. And the sacrifices still go. The Levitical priesthood is still intact. All these things are so. I don't care how mankind would try to explain it away. The Most High says, I change not. And the 27 letters doesn't belong. See, many are confused. They don't understand. Each book was written for its time period. Yes, each book was written for its time period. And like Isaiah was written for the time period that Isaiah has spanned it. And Isaiah gives you a vivid picture of what time period he's talking about. The time period of Isaiah is from Assyria to Babylon to Persia. Even so that the Most High names King Cyrus as his arm, as his anointed, as his Christ, to deliver Israel out of captivity and restore them unto their land. Even restore the artifacts of the temple so that they may be able to worship the Most High and give them whatever they need, and then give them leeway to subdue their enemies. Now, this is what God did. And for more information on that, go back to the book of Nehemiah, the book of Esther, and the book of, should I say, Ezra. Yes. Now, it's such a beautiful day in the neighborhood, when the earth is one day going to belong to the I Am. And if you belong to the I Am, the earth belongs to you. And the only way you can belong to the I Am, or to the Creator, if you want to put it correctly, is the laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances delivered unto Moses for the children of Israel. And that strangers can be a part of this great. That is the good news. Gentiles can come if they adhere to the things of the Most High. Now the Most High is going to restore the children of Levi And they were cleansed. The children of Levi were cleansed. They were cleansed in the first sojourning back to Jerusalem, back to the, should I say, southern kingdom. As they began to spread out, some didn't want, the city couldn't contain them all, so they spread out into their lands in different provinces and countrysides or what have you. Seems like everybody wants to live in the city. And the city is really where your thieves and your extortioners and all, because why? There are many people to extort. There are many people to steal from, whereas in the country, a thief will starve. If you spread out, he can't get everywhere. But in the city, in the suburbs of the city, yes, a thief can make a decent living. An extortioner can get anybody's money. A briber, or whoever you want to call it. An adulterer is far more far-fetched in the city than on the countryside, unless he's going to his neighbor's house, which might be miles down the road. But either way, the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances will be the law of the earth one day. It will be the ordinance of the day of the earth. It will be the statutes of the earth. And there will be one government. You see how the entities, the satanic forces, or should I say the satans, that's plural. There's not one Satan. There's many Satans. See, this is where those who translated the scriptures err. And it only appears one time, and that's in the book of Jubilees, where they actually get it right and says Satans, not Satan. No, there's not one Satan. Each one of those spirits have names, for when they were created, they were named of the Most High. Yes, they were. They have named. They are created beings. We are created, but by the order of creation, through birth, is how we came about. The order, just like every animal, insect, and everything, the order of creation is how we came about. But they, the angels, are created, each one individually by the Most High. The anointing, just everything. For whatever purpose they were created for, they were created by the Most High, even the I Am. Now, Isaiah chapter 54. A perpetual covenant, did I say? Sing, O barren, that thou didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, that thou didst not travail with trial. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the I Am. Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine inhabitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make desolate cities to be inhabited. Fear not. Now see, when he gets to the point right here in verse 3, you can realize this is what I was just explaining, how when they got back to the land of Jerusalem, they began to get into their desolate cities. This is being ambiguous in a way, because this is them going back to Jerusalem. Because of the scope of the prophecy of Isaiah. He said to make the desolate cities to be inhabited. I mean, the southern kingdom was a ruin. And the Jerusalem you have today is more in the northern kingdom than it is in the southern kingdom. They just divided the map the way they wanted to. He says, fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded. Don't be confused. For thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget thy shame, the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. For thy maker is thine husband. When God created mankind, and the ideal of a marriage is the way God, not that God has a wife, no. God does not have a wife. 432 drop. God does not have a wife. Neither is there a female in God's sight. This is blasphemy. It's the essence of idolatry. But marriage, as a wife, one that comforts her husband, one that worships her husband, not in the sense that you think, one that tries to be an instrument for a husband in many ways. What is the role of a wife? Even we're made to forget the role of a wife and even the role of a husband. A lot of us, most men, we still have the provider in us. And not just provision, but we also have the fact that we know that we have a responsibility to those we allow into our lives as far as woman is concerned, or women. Now, the same thing with our Maker, the one who would order our birth. He has caused the woman, the man and the woman, to be in symmetry with a man and his God, in that the Most High made the man after his image from the earth, breathed into him the breath of life. Now all of this transferred into the woman. The woman began to receive that which was given to the man, even the bone of his rib. In other words, it was the man before the woman. And since then, God had created a way that man could recreate itself by creating the woman, or reprocreate itself by creating the woman. And that is where she is a help in that one way among many. But we have gone astray. We have lost it. No, woman, you did not create your child. You did not create your son. You did not create your daughter. That is by order of the Most High. And that order was for every creature upon the earth that crawls, that flies, that walks in the mud. Yes, that was for every creature upon earth. You are no special in that area than they are. You have no significance than they do. They all suffer. Yes, they might have pangs in birth or travail or whatever. It's a big load to carry. But you, woman, he says multiplied. Remember, the pangs of your birth multiplied is what he said. Okay? Animals do feel pain, but not like human beings do. Your pains have multiplied. Now, he goes on in verse 4. Or should I say, he says, for thy Maker is thy husband, the I am of hosts is his name. And thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, is not your Isis or your Yahushua or your Husha. The Holy One of Israel is the I am. Because he has chosen Israel, which was Jacob at one time, until either they changed his name or somebody or something happened. The God of the whole earth shall he be called. He's saying, the whole earth, I created it all. For the I am hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit. Yes, and a wife of youth. In other words, this is symbolic here. He called thee as one who that wanted a savior. Abram, remember, Abram was the one that was grieved and was the one that was to be put down because of his detesting of idolatry. This was a way of Abram, and he knew that these idols could be nothing. They knew I'm better than an idol. But men, everything is valued by men in this world. It's valued by men. You could get a piece of gum that has been chewed during the time of Samson, and if you can prove it was chewed in the time of Samson, it could sell for millions. See, man put value on what he wants to put value on, or to that person who would pay what they consider is value. He says now in verse 6, for the I am hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, a wife and a wife of youth. He didn't say his wife, a wife of youth. When thou was refused, saith the I am. In other words, I caught you when you didn't have nothing. You didn't know where to go. You saw these idols and all of this, and you were searching for a better way. You were searching for, you've been used. You don't have nothing, but you search for that one that could help you, or one that could be, should I say, one that you could trust. And the I am was it. And he likened Israel unto a woman. For a small moment I have forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. It's just a small thing. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy, saith the I am thy Redeemer. There is no other Redeemer. See, when he says you could be bought, you was bought without a price. You know, that no man would buy you, is because there was only one that could redeem you, Israel. There is one that can redeem you, and that is the I am. Everything else has been pushed away. There's a spiritual head that they cannot even buy you, your freedom, not even Africa. For those of you scattered throughout the earth because of the slave trade. Now, this is as the waters of Noah unto me, says the Most High. It's like the waters of Noah. For as I have sworn the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. Okay, he says, I'm not going to be wroth with you anymore. I'm not going to rebuke you anymore. This is what the I am says. For the mountains shall depart and the hills remove, but my kindness shall not depart from thee. Neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith the I am that have mercy on thee. Now he's saying, now hold it now. They are tossed and afflicted. Babylon, Assyria. Then next thing you know, here comes Persia. And this is where the Most High is directing. In that he named Cyrus, and all these are given. Whether they are mistranslations or translations of opportunity or insertions, I can't tell really. But for what I see today and what has happened, I can tell. Okay. He says, of my peace removed, said the I am. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempests, and not comforted. Behold, I will lay stones with fair colors. I will lay thy foundations with sapphires. Is this a literal sense? No. It's symbolic. He's saying your way is going to be made right. Your way is going to be made beautiful. And I will make thy windows and the gates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones. Now, carbuncles, he's not talking about some type of disease or nothing like that. It's some type of, should I say, stone or jewelry or whatever. Thy borders of pleasant stones. Okay, we can tell carbuncles is something good in this, but this is Old English. This Old English, what they named back then, the things that they can relate to. They related to this. And all thy children shall be taught of the I am, and great shall be the peace of thy children. Yes, and when they got back to Jerusalem, Israel began to read the law. Yes, Israel began to read the law. And what happens is that Israel read the law, and mostly men are in the front as far as Israel is concerned, and they would go home and they would relay that back to their families or their wives and their children. Yes, they would relay it back to them and helping them to understand as they understand. They did have writings. They had the scripture was written, and you could even write it down as the priest talked. But they only had a book. The only book they had was the book of the law, and that book that was written before their time, like the books of Moses, were written before their time, and they were orated to the people. Yes, because The Hebrew language, as they put it, is very ancient, even as Egyptian language. But for some reason, because of Deuteronomy 28, these things were hidden. They were very much hidden. For it shall not come near thee. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. Now he was talking about these Israelites of that time, during that time. He said, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. In other words, I did all these things. Now somebody else, he says this, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. You know, Christians use this stuff all the time, and some of you Israelites, you use that stuff too. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the I am, and their righteousness is of me. In other words, well, how is their righteousness of him? Because they obey the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the I am, which is the righteousness of the Most High, saith the I am. So we have to really get to the point where we really understand what God is saying. This is why I say it's so important to sit down and read and question. You see how I read and I begin to ask questions, and answer them according to what I've read before and all these other things. You can't just jump. You can read line upon line, and you can go back to something that would precede, or should I say precede this, in order to get a clearer understanding of what was said. Even if I go to Isaiah, I can go back to the book of Kings. That is that's a precept, and it will tell me what Isaiah is talking about, or will give me a good idea of what Isaiah is talking about. Or even in the book of Isaiah, this is a book by itself, and it wasn't completed until after Isaiah's death. Yes. And if we do those things that are right before the Most High, even His commandments, statutes, and ordinances, we will have peace.